Well, I think that the problem is that there is a payoff for the struggle. And so spiritual people continue to put themselves upon the cross because there is this collective belief of, I'm more spiritual. The more I struggle, the more I suffer, the more spiritual I am. We wear our struggle like a badge of honor. You get a payoff. The payoff is that we get sympathy and we get, oh, look how hard she's working, or look how spiritual she is, or look how much she's struggling.
The second episode for Frank the Messiah is the Bali witch, the wealth witch, Leah Steele. She is very controversial, as was the Messiah himself. Very controversial. And if you disagree, then you don't know Christianity because he was crucified for being so controversial. So episode 2, I have an interview with Leah Steele, who said one of the most triggering things I'd ever heard, which sparked an inner conversation with Frank, with Jesus. Leah said, get down off your crosses, spiritual people, and make some money already. And I was like, oh my gosh, who is she to say that? And Jesus was like, yeah, pretty triggering, huh? And I was like, yeah, it's crazy. And then I was watching all the backlash, and some people were freaking out, and some people, I mean, a lot of people were like rallying with her, me as well. Once I got over my initial shock of it. But Jesus was like, pay attention. Hello.
Hello.
How are you, honey?
Good. How are you?
You look gorgeous.
Oh, hey.
You're welcome.
How's
Bali?
It's great. It's great.
Good. Thank you so much for coming on my show and doing a podcast with me. I really, really appreciate it. You know, I was talking to Jesus and he was like, she needs to be episode 2. We need the people to have the money. We've got to talk about the things. And I mean, one of the things that I really want to talk to you is what you said about get down off your crosses and make some money. That triggered the shit out of me. And Jesus was like, shut up and listen. He was like, it's not a contest. That job is done. You guys have shit to do. Dying is easy. We got to do stuff. So I wanted to talk to you about some of that stuff and your journey and what you do and how you do it and who you work with and why people come to you to work with you. And then I wanted to ask you if there was anything in particular that you wanted to focus on or speak about, and definitely give you an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I was trying to follow instructions. I rarely do, but it said to put my AirPods on or my headphones on, so I did.
You were just following instructions, Leah. I appreciate it.
I shouldn't have. I should have not followed instructions, and then everything would have been fine.
See, this is a perfect segue. You should know to go with your instinct.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, well, that's interesting because I don't think that you have told me before that you were triggered by the spiritual people should come down off their cross already.
No, you're the trigger queen. And a lot of things you were saying, you triggered me too really bad when you were talking about that you cleared Jesus and Satan. I was like, who the fuck is this chick? And Jesus was like, listen, she's going to do some things.
I think that, you know, was such a pivotal part for me in my journey. Was I'm an emotional clearing practitioner, and part of my advanced practitioner certification was when I was learning to do what we call quantum clears, a really heavy duty emotional clearing practice that takes several hours. Part of that training was to clear Jesus and Satan.
Yeah.
But
it made such perfect sense when you did, because Jesus is all about flipping your vibe, that there's a negative and a positive within every vibration. And that's a vibration that you cleared. That's heavily controlled and heavily programmed.
Well, the thing that was interesting is I was like, I don't have a charge with Jesus. I was like, I don't have a charge with Jesus because I have a very different view of Jesus than I think a lot of people. So I actually didn't end up clearing Jesus. I cleared God.
Okay.
So
cool.
I cleared God. Many people cleared Jesus, and I helped people clear Jesus, but I cleared God and Satan.
See, that's what I needed to do. I needed to clear God more than I needed to clear Jesus, because I always knew the real Jesus versus the one they tried to tell me was the real Jesus, because he was basically my imaginary friend as a kid, and then Catholicism's what drove the wedge between us. Yeah. But then when I came back around as an adult and noticed that he was, my spirit team, and was telling me that, I'm going to be your spirit guide. And I was like, oh, really, you? I'm like, anyone but you. And he was like, no, listen. But it was the same. I needed to rectify my relationship with God more than my relationship with Jesus. So that's fascinating that you say that.
Yeah. So when I did that, but I mean, that was really what opened me up to like actually receiving communication from Jesus, was the clearing of God.
Yeah.
So it was like I had so much baggage around that. And I was literally like, I went into it going like, I don't even have baggage around God, but I did, and I think it's impossible to not if you live in today's society, because we have this idea of, God is everything right and Satan is everything wrong.
Right. And that's
our entire association with good and evil has to do with God and Satan, or Jesus and Satan, right?
Right. But, so I had to work with Jesus to then clear God. I tuned into Jesus so then I could actually hear God clearer, because I thought God was a sociopath. I mistook, because of Christianity and my programming, I mistook God for Satan, which most do and still do. God was the ruler, or Satan, from what my research was, Satan was the ruler of the Old Testament. Like, he is still the guardian of earth, but the adversity here is to overturn that or use it all. I mean, it's self-actualization is the whole concept here. And what that looks like for each person is going to be incredibly different, because everyone has their own karma, DNA, timeline, absolutely everything. So I've so enjoyed listening to you, because I know there's a fine line that spiritual people walk in, being able to feel worthy of asking for any money for their services. And yet we'll burn out and be homeless if we don't charge, because this is a full-time gig. We devoted our lives to it. So I wanted you to riff on some of that a little bit. Let me switch to this topic header just a bit. And so this was something Leah said a while ago in his repeated saying, and it has. And I love your follow-up to it, where you're like, if this bothers you, you should probably leave. Like, it's only going to get worse. And I love that you say that so unabashedly, that you're not going to conform to your audience, that they need to be in alignment with you or piss off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, if you're not in alignment with what I'm saying, go find somebody that you're in alignment with, right?
Right. Or go create your own channel.
Me, I do feel like, part of what I'm here to do is really shake up the stigmas that spiritual people assign to themselves. Mm-hmm. We are here with divine mission work and purpose work that is vitally important, especially right now. Yeah. Like, we need to be stepping fully into our purpose work and doing the divine mission work that we came to this planet to do. The planet needs it desperately. And our bullshit excuses about why we can't earn money or why we can't do our purpose work, like, there's just not time for them anymore.
No.
We don't have the luxury of waiting for people to shift through all of their dogma and all of their shit around money, wealth, abundance, and prosperity. Like, we need them to be out there doing the thing now. And they can't fully do the thing. They're worrying about how they're going to make their mortgage payment or how they're going to put food on the table. Mm-hmm. And, spiritual people, we assign these, we love our martyrdom complexes.
And that's what I love about get off your cross. That's Jesus's job. Yeah. He already accomplished that job. It was not necessary in the first place. We dictated it and he had to check it off his list because it was part of his stupid mission of, okay, what is earth manifested? What do I have to go down there and accomplish and check off my list? But that job is done. I mean, there's no more martyrdom. There's no more sacrificing your light for whatever you think in your head if you don't deserve to be compensated for it. But I think what it helps and what's helped me is to bill God or the universe or whatever feels comfortable, as opposed to being like, oh, I can't make any money, or whatever I'm doing, even if I'm not making money from a human being, if I'm putting energy towards my book or my podcast or my business or teaching or learning in the field of sharing my light, I bill God and at some point it will pay off, and it always does come in, and I just bill him for all of those hours. So I know a lot of time we think we're not earning any money during those times where we're writing the book or we're creating the course or we're, building the podcast. And I mean, that's entrepreneurship in its finest, is dancing that line of paving your path until it starts really reaping in the benefits. But it's a faith of business. It's a faith of yourself. It's a faith of self-actualization. It's a faith of your provider. And who do you think is your provider? And do you think he provides?
Yeah. Well, I think that the problem is that there is a payoff for the struggle. And so spiritual people continue to put themselves upon the cross because there is this collective belief of, I'm more spiritual. The more I struggle, the more I suffer, the more spiritual I am. We wear our struggle like a badge of honor. And we get a payoff. The payoff is that we get sympathy and we get, oh, look how hard she's working, or look how spiritual she is, or look how much she's struggling. But the truth is that the struggle is keeping us from our purpose work. The struggle keeps us from our divine mission work. And really, that's about stroking your ego, not about being in alignment with your soul.
Yeah. And that's a huge trigger. And you're the mama of triggers. And I love that that's your purpose and your passion, and you're aware of it and you do it quite well. And I appreciate you keep doing it. But I mean, that's a big part of the process is making the money and allowing the money to come in and feeling worthy of it, and not competing with. I think a lot of us, and I know this is something I identify in myself and have to rein in myself, we get addicted to healing. We get addicted to our own shit because we're so used to it, we don't even know what anything else feels like. And then we mistake drama for passion or passion for drama. And then we seek out more dramas instead of seeking out passions to fill in that vibration. Because the flip of passion is drama. Drama is the negative of passion. Passion is creative and forthgoing and creating and a good vibration. And I think so many just struggle with giving up the past, giving up the trauma, and just doing the next step, doing the next thing that you're meant to do here. And as women, and women like you and I that identify with possible past lives of being a witch or feeling persecuted or not allowed to share or really bring our gifts out in the past, we can now. So don't miss this opportunity because you will probably just reincarnate and try again if you don't accomplish it this time. You're a light worker. I mean, that's part of our contract, is to come back and face our fears and do the things. And you can self-actualize in way less incarnations, as Jesus was trying to show, if we go inward, right? And get guidance. I love when you tell your audience you're following what it's like for you to receive guidance. You get drop-ins in the shower, you get divine next steps. You're not running yourself ragged going, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? What's the next thing? It'll come in, it'll tell me, because that's how it works. And you can relax and not have to burn yourself out waiting on the next step. The next step will come in. You feel it percolating. Explain more of what it's like to be that. And what your activations are like, and what some of your clients, 'cause I've witnessed so much of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I think it just came to that pivotal point when I had been receiving divine guidance for a long time, but I was still trying to do it my way. And I was still trying to drive the ship, and I still thought I knew better, and so it was like, I would get the divine guidance and then I'd be like, oh, but it would just be better if we did it this way. And I
have the same.
I wasn't achieving the levels of success that I wanted, and things were not working out the way that I really wanted them to work out. And so one day it was literally like, God was like, I gave me the guidance and I was like, oh, but maybe we should do it this way. And he was just like, look, like, is that working out for you? How's that been working out for you? He, she, like for me, like I tend to refer to God as a man because I still kind of have that vision, but
me too. Absolutely. And it's not that I think he's some dude in the sky.
I honestly have no problem like with however you make the association. That's just the association that
Absolutely.
I make. And I also think that I have a strong feminine presence. And so God for me, a lot is my container. He holds masculine energy for me. So that part of his being, that part of that universal, I believe to be genderless being will show up in a masculine presence for me because that's what I need to hold structure in my life.
Me too.
But so I digress, but he was like, how's this working out for you? Yeah. Like you taking my guidance and then trying to do it your way. Like, is it working out? And I was like, well, no.
Oh, Daddy God has said the same things to me. I'm like, you're right. I know.
So then I was just like, okay, well, you know what? I surrender then. I am going to surrender. I'm going to just do as I'm told. And at that point, I surrendered my free will. And it's been beautiful since because literally like I can just know that I will be divinely guided. I can just know that like the guidance will always come. It can't ever be taken away from me. God's never going to abandon me. Jesus is never going to abandon me. They will always be there for me. The only time that I don't hear is when I'm out of alignment.
Yeah.
And so for me, a lot of what I do is staying in the place of alignment so that I can hear the guidance.
Yeah. I love all of that. And I'm on the same page in the same path. We have so many of the same profound moments, experiences. And I love that they're very similar. It just validates so much of my own to keep so much of my own faith because the faith is everything. One of the things that you said about God being a father and also removing the whole fear of abandonment. Were you raised Catholic at all?
No. So I was raised exposed to a lot of different religions. My mom was a really, really spiritual, new agey type woman that studied all different types of religions. So I was exposed to different religions growing up. Yeah. My grandparents, who were the primary people that took me into church environments, were Methodist.
Oh, interesting.
But I spent a lot of time in Catholic churches because I dated boys that were Catholic and my children went to Catholic school and I was on the school board at the Catholic school and I was the head of the PTA. So I have a lot of exposure to Catholic ideology.
Yeah. And that's where the abandonment comes in for me. Yeah. I went to private Catholic school a good amount of my early years, did all the rituals. And even when I was born and raised in Monterey, California, well, not raised for too long, but I was there until I was 9 and we moved back and forth. But the little church that we went to was a mission that my older brother and I went to. And I kept waiting for them to teach me how to walk on water and do the things. And it was very disappointing. I thought it was going to be more like Hogwarts and it wasn't. But the thing that got me was I felt like they encapsulated a moment of when Jesus doubted God or doubted or felt abandoned. And that was like such a subliminal program of God could abandon me, especially in my darkest moment or my scariest moment, and not to trust that God's got my back. So there was all of this wonky subliminal programming coming in through my eyes, and then through so much energy of the nuns were not really warm and kind. It really made me push away understanding religion or wanting to dive into it more, really understanding God. I was like, God is cold. God's mean. He abandons you. Like none of this seemed really helpful, except now looking back, I'm like, I'm a human design 1-3 investigating martyr. So I love the investigation and he's my favorite martyr. And I love that you're super, super rare breed of human design, Miss Trigger Queen. That's your job. So I don't know if you want to.
Ross said if Jesus had a human design, that he would have been a 5-1 projector, which is
I don't doubt it.
So.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I don't believe he was a manifesting generator. I don't even think he was a Capricorn. He seems more of a Virgo, and he says he's born in September, so it matches. It lines up in my magical head, anyway. Here's some of my tickers for when I go crazy. This chick is nuts. Or if I can't go there, pleading the fifth. And then sometimes there's spoiler alerts, like spoiler alert, God wants you to have money. God needs you to have money. It's a pay to play reality. First of all, to be here, you got to have money to do the thing. So why wouldn't God want you to have them? I think there's so much misconception that you have to be poor here to enter the kingdom or be worthy or whatever that programming is. But I really appreciate you helping, because you're helping me. I mean, you're truly helping me feel worthy of the 777 billion I require. I told God that should be a good amount to get some shit done. Like I can really get some shit done with that. So I really appreciate all of your galactic activations and your channelings and your empowerment that helps me to receive all of that. I know you know some of my backstory of being a sexual abuse advisor, a survivor, and it can be really hard to receive, to trust receiving at all. You'd rather die than receive sometimes. So I have really, really, really benefited from listening to you, and all of your links are in the bio of how to learn more about Leah Steele. So what's it like to work with Leah one-on-one? What do your clients get out of you? Like, what do they call you for? What do they really need?
Well, I mean, it kind of depends on the clients, but the majority of people come and find me because they need to repattern their wealth story. They're looking to shift their wealth paradigm. They're starting to wake up to the global financial agenda. They want to break free from financial slavery consciousness. They have an idea or a feeling that there's got to be more to life than just the day-to-day financial struggle and never being able to get ahead. And so, I think that's how people initially find me, is coming in to get help with deconstructing that.
Yeah. You've got an amazing mindset on money. You've got an amazing program. You've got several programs on really flipping your mindset on money to the point of it invokes so much magic. So it's a huge, big shift. It's a huge, big shift. Would you mind, for the show, I know this is something you've given away before, so I'm not making you give away anything for free that you haven't already given away for free. But one of your tips or tricks has something to do with a refrigerator.
Oh, yeah. The refrigerator, cleaning out the refrigerator, of course. So this is just a tip for kind of instant manifestation that is a bit of an old wives' tale, but it works. It's an amazing way to shift your current wealth paradigm. And so what you need to do is literally take everything out of your refrigerator, every single thing in there, out of the freezer, out of the refrigerator, and you scrub and clean that refrigerator until it is pristine and there is not a speck of dirt in it. Like, do whatever you have to do to get it shining, crystal clear inside. And then throw out anything and everything that's old or expired. Pay special attention to your condiments, because we tend to want to hold on to condiments for like 20 years. So anything that's expired, you throw it in the garbage, you take it immediately outside, you get rid of it, right? You put it out in your big garbage, you put it out in your big trash, and then you put everything back into the refrigerator, completely organized. Anything in the freezer that has frostbite, throw it away. And you want to just have a completely organized, very, very clean refrigerator and freezer. It brings in money every time.
Can we dive into a little more of the psychology? What's that, honey?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, can we dive into a little more of the psychology of that for those who are super resistant to get started? Like, why would it benefit you? And I can guess that, first of all, it's making you focus your attention on it. And you're thinking, okay, if I clean this fridge, which could take hours, you're focused for hours on money and manifesting it. So am I right? Is that the psychology behind it?
Yes. And, for me, it's more, yes, absolutely. Like when I'm actually making a sacrifice of my time and my energy, right, to do something that I'm trusting and having faith that this is going to call something into my life that I desire. So I trust, I'm believing, I'm trusting, I have faith. It works even if you don't believe, but.
Right. Because energy is energy.
You believe it enough that you're willing to try it, right?
Right. That's all. That's the faith of a mustard seed. You're doing it.
As you're cleaning it, you're like, this better work. Right. This girl, then you might be like, she's crazy. This isn't going to work. But then you're like, but what if it does? Like, you are having an inner dialogue with yourself about money the entire time that you're doing this. So that is definitely one piece of it. The other piece for me is that there is this concept, bandwidth, that I talk about a lot. I know you've heard me talk about it tons and tons. when we have lingering things or we have things that are cluttered in our lives, by the way, this works just as well if you go clean out your junk drawers.
Sure. Or your computer, your desktop. Yeah, everything.
You have to have all of your junk drawers cleaned out, right? Like, so it is what you're doing is you're freeing up bandwidth. And when you free up bandwidth, you have more space to create and manifest. So, every time how many times a day do you open your refrigerator and see that cluttered mess? How many times a day do you open your refrigerator and think, oh, I should really organize this, or I should get rid of it? And it's like, even if you're not thinking in your conscious mind, your subconscious mind is thinking it.
Yeah.
So,
your awareness, now next time you go to your fridge, go with some awareness and open it and see if it's all disheveled and nasty and expired. What is it? What do you feel immediately? Do you feel anxiety and disgust and yuckiness? Yeah, that's what we don't want to feel when we approach anything. So it's amazing.
So it's freeing up bandwidth that gives you space to create, that gives you space to manifest.
Yeah. And so tell us more about the bandwidth. You only have a certain amount, so don't gunk it up, right?
Yeah. So, so at any given time, we have a finite amount of bandwidth. I do believe that we can grow and expand that bandwidth.
Agreed.
But at any given time, we only have a finite amount, right?
Agreed.
And we can do actions and activities to help you expand it. But at any given time, we're running. So it's like your phone, right? It's like your smartphone. Mm-hmm. When you don't spend time closing out the apps, you could have 200 apps running in the background, taking up space. Yeah. It's the same with our bandwidth, right? So, those lingering things that you haven't checked off your to-do list, they're in the background. They're running there in the back of your subconscious mind. I need to get that done. Oh, that to-do list of 52 things, all 52 of those things, they're running in the background. Yeah. And when you add in little things like this, like, oh, there's a bill that you need to pay, that $40 bill that you keep forgetting to pay, it's still there in your subconscious mind. And
it's all gunked up with negative, scary anxiety.
They're little things. So you think, oh, it's not that big of a deal. But the problem is you have 300 of those little things. And the combination of those 300 is taking up a huge amount of your bandwidth.
Right.
And so the goal when you start working with me definitely is like, clear up as much bandwidth as possible so that you can step into a place of manifestation.
Right. And then you see the leaps and bounds you can make because you have all of this extra space to do something new because you've cleared that out. Leah, one of the things I loved that you shared with us, months ago with some of the business stuff of how to tackle that giant to-do list. It's like you thought you got 300 things to do. Leah is a very successful entrepreneur. She's been an entrepreneur for a long time. Her muggle life before she became a spiritual advisor, she was still killing it. We have a similar backstory of our businesses imploding, forcing us onto another path by, luckily acts of God is a thing. And that's what led us to different paths on the same spiritual path of imploding the business that we were doing before. But I mean, this is a girl who knows what she's doing. She knows how to create business. She knows how to create relationships. She knows how to create a lasting platform to build your empire on from a steady rock. And one of the things that helped me so much with the overwhelm, because as an entrepreneur myself, I've been one for 16 years now, is that to-do list. And sometimes I will look at it and do everything that I'm avoiding, the things that I actually need to do. And I will do 20 of the things that are super insignificant that are not going to propel me. And then I'm like, well, I did 20 things. And then I'm mad that I'm not making money because I did laundry instead of making a funnel. So you had said to pick 3 to 5 things to either do or outsource, 3 to 5 intentions of things to do on that list. So when you have 300 things to do, choosing just a couple of things alleviated so much stress for me of not having a huge team to delegate and take care of everything, which I'm developing and getting to that. But as a single woman, Wonder Woman, Superwoman entrepreneur, which everyone has to start there, and you did too. That was incredibly helpful to me of taking some of the overwhelm off. So I love that you have a teaching of the business side as well, because with all of the options of all the different softwares out, every coach has a different platform of how they're building it. And I love a lot of the ways you do things. And I know you had a mentor before, and very similar of a format that I want to follow too, of doing this the easiest way possible. Do it the easiest way possible so that you show up and commit.
Yeah.
And I know you like to do things easy too. And I just really appreciate that, and do something or outsource it, and your why. Those were all big, beautiful things that really helped me to remain accountable to my own business. Leah, is there anything you want to talk about specifically that I didn't hit on at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like the biggest place where I'm allowing people to come in and access my content that I'm the most excited about right now is my Wealth Alchemy Mastermind. And I'm facilitating that completely over Telegram right now, the Telegram app. And I'm doing that for a variety of reasons, one of which is that, the information that I'm sharing in regards to shifting the wealth paradigm is quite sensitive. And a lot of it's being censored on traditional media channels. And so I started facilitating this mastermind through the Telegram app, and I'm absolutely in love with it. I actually just did an hour-long Q&A in that group before getting on this podcast recording with you.
Oh, nice.
And it's so rewarding to me. I get to do a monthly group coaching call with the group. I do a monthly Q&A. And then they're getting literally like my little sound bites, these little bits of wisdom that you're talking about. They get them 4 to 5 times a week from me, and then audio messages from me just riffing on that content. And then we share lots of different resources with them in the group as well, like money trackers and things like that. But the beauty of this is right now there's a special founders rate. I don't know when your podcast is coming out. There's a special founders rate of $22 a month. So literally like you get access to me at the level that my high-end clients get access to me for $22 a month. And
I was considering that, but I didn't know more about it, but it sounds like a steal. I mean, that sounds like such a great investment, because I know it can be very expensive to work with you, and you're worth every freaking penny.
Well, and this level of work with me, honestly, like it's what people pay at least $1,000 a month to have access to me at this level. It works because of the sheer numbers and me having being able to just do this all through my phone and interact with the group through my phone. So after the founders rate is over, which is going through next Tuesday, it'll just be $44 a month. So it's still ridiculously affordable.
Still very manageable.
Yep. And if people are new to me, that's really what I suggest. Come check it out. You can cancel anytime. And you just download the Telegram app.
Do it, folks. I mean, she has so much content. She's very, very giving with sharing a lot of video content, and she'll interact and answer questions. I mean, to get you at any access, I mean, you've done freebies, and I've signed up for so many of your freebies because I just love learning from you. And, I think I will probably sign up right after this as one of your founders. The podcast launches on June 1st, which I'm going to put 3 or 4 episodes out. You're number 2, so you'll be in that batch. But so by the time this airs, it'll be at 44. But that's still a steal to work with you and get that kind of attention. And I've worked with you with that app too. It's very secure. The social media platforms, while they're great for coaches, it's not safe. Our content can get deleted there, confiscated there, can get flagged. And we spend a lot of time creating content, so we don't want it deleted.
Yeah, exactly.
Leah, was there anything else?
No, you can just share the information on how they can subscribe to the bot and then have access to that. And I think that's a great way to like get introduced to me. And then obviously I talk about my other programs and stuff in there. I also have a free Telegram channel, the Wealth Witch channel, where I share heaps of content as well. So
very cool. Well, I don't know if Jesus is nudging to tell us some mystical stuff. Tell us some more of the spiritual stuff, what contact is like, or I don't know. I don't even know what to ask. He's wanting me to press.
Oh gosh. Like what kind of stuff?
Well, I'm sure you're modest and don't know even what to say, but I mean, like, you have the same psychic ability. You can channel, you're seeing things, you're getting experiences, you're getting downloads, you're getting, and you're seeing things come to fruition. And I want to share more of the spiritual side of your journey as much as possible, because you're the Wealth Witch. I like to try to sell magic. And I know that's a big part of yours too. You had the magical life was a big focus of your brand a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, same thing. Yeah. I'm trying to show spirituality as a form of magic, because so many people think of spirituality as religion, and I think magic is more accurate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think for me, my relationship to the divine is really what has enabled me to open up my spiritual and psychic gifts to the degree that I have, because I do have that trust that I have that trust in the divine, that I'm protected. I have that trust in the
divine.
divine.
Why is it worth it? Why is it worth it to establish that connection and do that work? What have you experienced? Because I know what you've experienced, but tell our people what it's been like for you to make that decision.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, I think that decision to live divinely guided has expanded my life in every single way. Like, my marriage is better, my relationship with my children. Obviously, I'm making tons and tons of money.
Yes.
I'm wildly financially abundant and provided for doing my purpose work.
And you
all
like
of that
work.
Yeah, and all that comes as a direct result of that trust in the divine and cultivating that connection with the divine. But that is also what allows me to, that's what has allowed me to really, truly step into and open up my mediumship gifts. That's really what has allowed me to step into, trusting that I am a prophetess at some level, and that all of this stuff that's been coming down the pipeline, I mean, with the virus, with the state of the economy, like all of this I saw last year, at the end of last year, like I was given the message, I was given the divine downloads, I was instructed to come out and share it.
And same with me. And that's a point right there. One of the biggest reasons why you should tune in. You get the heads up on what's going on. I mean, I don't know if you caught my post because you have a way bigger following, and I know your feed gets clogged really quickly. In February, I was towards the end of February, my husband was out of town. He was traveling nonstop all the time for his work. And I went and got his oil change. And as I was getting his oil change, there was it looked like a little Santeria shop. And Jesus was like, go in there. And I was like, what? Go in there. That looks scary. And he was like, oh my God, go in there. So I go in there and I immediately, and it's so funny, I have it next to me. I immediately see this as I walk in, and he's like, see, I'm here. And I'm like, yeah, but that picture's terrifying. And he was like, no, I promise I'm here. And he was like, you need protection. Ask the guy for protection. So I go up to the guy, and the guy was Cuban, and he was trying to give me chicken legs and chicken parts. And Jesus was like, yeah, not that kind of protection. No one wants you dead. And so he was like, you need protection for your home, and you need protection for Jeff while he's traveling until you guys are at home. And this is before I knew anything about like solid evidence of a plague coming. I had felt it intuitively coming that something was a brewing for sure. And then following prophecies and listening to other prophetesses as well, and getting figuring it out for myself as much as I can. But I mean, it was incredible to find stuff at that store and be like, hey, I need something for protection. And I got what I needed to put in my house. The first thing he showed me was absolutely terrifying. I was like, I could not explain that to anyone who walks in my home as to why that is above my door. But I figured out, I finally found the thing I needed to have. But that is a good reason to tune in. You get a lot of heads up, and you get next steps, and you get guidance. And from what I've noticed if we're talking about channeling beings and getting direction from beings, God will give you the next big step. And it's just one step. It's not to overwhelm you, and it's to get you excited. But the fear or lower vibrational beings that want to overwhelm you will give you like 200 next steps. And you're like, I can't move. That's terrifying. So you want to tune into God and get that one step, and then go breathe, take a break. God wants you to do a step and take a break, do a step and take a break. So that's what I have found, why it behooves me to tune in and make that connection. It's been life-changing for me. It's been absolutely life-changing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
Yay. What's the rest of your day looking like? What you got going on?
I've got a client session, and then I've got it's a day today. I've got a client session, then I'm recording podcast, and then I've got client sessions tonight and bonus content in Mastering Your Spiritual Money Game, and all
You're
the things.
You're a busy lady. You're a busy lady. I am too. I love it. Having a purpose like this, that's so magical, and being in charge. Oh my gosh, it's just one of the best things in the world. I love that we get to tell people, you should do this. You should do it right now.
Yeah.
You should have started yesterday, but we'll let it slide. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, you bet.
Thanks.
I can't wait for your podcast. I'm so excited.
Oh, me too. I'm having a lot of fun with this. I'm really enjoying this. How are you liking doing the podcast? And because I
love it. In fact, I'm excited because I'm recording an episode, just a me episode this afternoon. I have one session, and then I'm going to record.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to hear it. Yeah, my format, what I figured out, what I downloaded from the Divine, what they told me to do was leapfrog. Every other episode, do an interview, and every other episode. The first episode is my story and teaching and talking, and then the next is an interview, but all of in the vein of Frank, of Jesus, and getting cool with him, and we don't have to be afraid of him or hate him anymore.
Yeah. Awesome! I'm so excited. Well, thanks for having me. This was so fun.
Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. I'm like trying to mull over anything else. I mean, you've got your mastermind, you've got your membership, you've got freebies, we've got all the links in there of how to find you, how to work with you. You're so giving, and you've got so many resources and so many talents. And I really appreciate having you on the show, Leah. I really appreciate you taking the time. It's a 12-hour difference, so I know it's top of the morning to you and it's late here. I appreciate you squeezing me in with such short notice. For Let's Be Frank with your host, Molly Skye Brown, this has been another great episode number 2 with the Bali witch, the wealth witch, Miss Leah Steele. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it, honey.
Thank you.